there's a whole universe of conspiracies out there. This is just one of them. What's up, universe? And welcome back to the web's first must-see comic and nerd culture show. Welcome to Comic Universe. I'm your host, as always, the kingpin of comic culture, C-Dubs. And guys, today on the docket is the second episode of Universal Conspiracies. And that's right, guys. We're talking about the Three Joker theory. So guys, today I'm just going to kind of roll through some of the ideas that I have, some of the major theories that are going behind this, and basically some of my thoughts on some of the most popular fan theories out there and what if scenarios for who the three Jokers are. And that's right, unless you've been living under a rock, there's three Jokers. And I know if you're sitting at home, you're like, what the what? So guys, a few years back, Batman, Bruce Wayne, got a hold of Metron's chair, basically, and he asked the chair who the Joker's name was, basically, trying to figure out the origin of the Joker so that it could better help him stop the Clown Prince of Crime and the terrible things that he does. And basically, the chair replied, which one? Letting him know that there are three of them. And this just blew his mind, our mind, everyone's mind, if you will. So I'm just going to kind of go off the top here and just kind of retread some of what's kind of going on. So it was announced at San Diego Comic-Con 2018 underneath the Black label for DC, which is not just multiverse or Elseworld stories. It is basically the mature brand. So things in canon can happen within the Black label. And this story of the three Jokers is going to be one. And it is being brought to us by Jeff Johns, which is absolutely amazing. We know that if it's Jeff Johns bringing it to us, or Snyder, it's pretty much guaranteed to be a good thing, you know, especially as of late. So I'm super excited about this. So what I'm going to do is basically right off the top is who could these three Jokers be? As of right now, it is considered that we're talking and dealing with, due to the images that were shown, okay, the Gold, Silver, and Bronze Age, or Modern Age Joker, if you will. The Gold being the career criminal, if you will, robbing banks, stealing diamonds, hostage situations, things like that. The Golden Age Joker was a lot like that. And then we have the Silver Age, thanks to the comic code, if you will. And he is very slapstick. He's the tricker. You know, he is the one that just is out to have fun at anyone else's expense, if you will. And then we have the Modern or Bronze Age Joker, which is the sadistic, twisted killer. The man who just wants to see the world burn, if you will. That Joker. Now, it's absolutely plausible and possible that we get some other versions, okay? And none of the three that I've mentioned being the ones that we actually get. But in the original pictures you guys can see, okay, it was leaked and hinted that these would be the three that we were dealing with. Now, in other images that we've gotten in terms of what the actual Three Jokers cover is going to look like, it's slightly a little different. It's not necessarily those three versions, if you will. But, like I said, anything is possible going into this story. Now, first and foremost, I want to talk about the fact that if there are really three Jokers, and we're not dealing with any shenanigans, and there's just been three Jokers, there is three Jokers, and there'll always be three Jokers, it's going to put Batman in a position where he kind of looks like he's not the world's greatest detective. He's going to kind of look like a failure to a lot of people. So they're treading on some ground here, first and foremost, that is very wobbly, if you will, some thin ice. with Batman and Joker probably well, they are DC's two biggest flagships for the hero and villain, if you will. And I mean no disrespect to Superman or any of his rogues gallery or Flash or Wonder Woman or anybody. Okay, but Batman clearly is the guy that has been keeping them afloat, if you will, in many ways. Okay, he's clearly in every movie. He's clearly in every animated movie, and there's a reason for that, guys. Like it or not, there is a reason for it. So, in my opinion on this particular theory, okay, that there's been 3 and always has been 3, I don't like it. I don't want that to be the case because I think it's going to paint Batman in a bad light. It just kind of seems a little wonky, if you will. Now, there are ways around that depending on how there's 3. And that's going to bring us to the first theory. So, number 1 here, guys. So, the first theory is that Joker has split personality disorder. Now, we all know that Batman's rogues gallery, 90% of them all have mental illness. That's why they're locked up in Arkham instead of Blackgate or anywhere else, if you will. That's the reason why they always end up in Arkham, because they're actually twisted, deranged, and battling mental illness. And clearly Joker is one of those people that is dealing with mental illness. Now, it's never been stated that he is dealing with split personality disorder, but that is one of the theories. And it does kind of make some sense. Many times we have heard the Joker try to explain his origins and him advising others that he kind of prefers it to be multiple choice.
Sometimes I remember it one way, sometimes another. If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice. My point is, I went crazy. And I'm smart enough to admit it.
Now, this could mean that his subconscious kind of bleeds into every other version, if you will. Generally, when you have a split personality, and it's shown actually in the movie Split, if you will, and even in real life, that's many times that when you are going through different personalities, the previous one or your normal one blacks out, basically, has no recollection of what's going on. And each individual identity, if you will, has its own, life, if you will, his own belief systems, his own thought process, memories, most cases, his own name. And this would kind of make sense why the chair would refer to them as, which one do you want to know about? Because in his mind, he's clearly 3 different people. So the chair would recognize that illness and refer to him as such. Now, that kind of makes Batman also look a little silly for not kind of diving deeper in and asking more questions, if you will. But we're dealing with comics, and they obviously couldn't give everything away at that point in time. So the first theory is basically dealing with multiple personality disorder. I think that might be one of the easiest ways, but also could be one of the best ways to tell this story. It does somewhat seem of an easy way out, but with that scenario, just think about how good Split was. Okay? We could get something like that, and even more so with the Joker and how he deals with the different personalities. And what if he doesn't know he has these different personalities? So what happens when he figures it all out? How crazier is that going to drive him? Or is that going to fix him? Who knows what this is going to do? Who knows if this is even the reason? That brings us to our second theory. The second theory going around for the 3 Joker theory is that we're dealing with, especially since we have the influx and the meddling of Dr. Manhattan and the Watchmen universe being a part of the main DC continuity, what that means is there could be just some things that he wasn't able to control, or some things that he's just playing around with, or somehow through all the time manipulation and dimension manipulation, if you will, that two other Jokers found a way to leak into the main DC universe. Now, so we're dealing with three different versions from three different universes and or timelines, if you will. This seems like a kind of weird one, and one where they could start really like messing things up. It can get really sticky, convoluted, especially if you're dealing with time travel in any sense of the matter. Time travel is something not a lot of is common of a concept as time travel is. It's something that not a lot of people can write or express very well. We start dealing with, the whole what came first, the chicken or the egg, type of scenarios. You get, if they meet each other, does the world implode or explode, or the universe explode? There's so many just rough scenarios that come when you're dealing with time travel. Just look at what has happened with the Terminator franchise. Just look what has happened with Lost. When we started going into the TV show Lost, when we started going into time travel and things, it just got so wonky. It's so hard to do. I mean, you could start off on like just blowing everyone's mind, but literally end like, okay, I paid for that. Like, really? Type of scenarios. Or even sometimes they end where everything is just fixed and back to normal, and there was no point or purpose to the whole thing. And sure, I sometimes enjoy the ride, okay, and though everything goes back to the status quo, okay, and sometimes it's just the ride that was the point. I'm not sure that's the case here. I don't think that this is how this is going to play out. At least my fingers are crossed. This is the least likely of the versions of what could possibly happen with this three Joker theory. Along with that, okay, there are some things that do make a lot of sense. If we are dealing with three separate Jokers, this is how he's able to be in multiple places at once. How he's able to break in and out of Arkham so easily, or in and out of any situation when he's got someone on the outside helping him out. It makes it a lot easier, and especially if he looks and acts, they act alike, it's simply a matter of slide hand. You're looking, your direction is focused on this particular Joker, while the other Joker is going around doing whatever he wants. So this particular version and this particular idea relies on a lot of what ifs and mishaps, if you will, and maybe even some mistakes by the hands of Dr. Manhattan. So I don't see him as someone who makes a lot of mistakes, or who would allow the Jokers to just be able to jump in and out of different times, or dimensions or realities. I just don't see him being the type of person allowing this. Clearly, after the way he kind of got involved with Reverse Flash and whatnot, just kind of with the whole button scenario, I just don't see this one being it. But again, you never ever know. And that brings me to the next theory. Now, the next theory, okay, is one that I'm really intrigued about. One that I kind of want to be true to a certain extent, but one that also can cause a lot of problems moving forward within the DCE, or just within the DC universe, if you will, and one that will affect and could affect the Bat family in many negative ways. And I don't mean negative in terms of good storytelling. I just mean negative in terms of popularity and things to that nature. So this theory is that the Pale Man, okay, the Pale Man theory is that he is the original Joker. He is the original stain on Gotham, if you will. Not necessarily the original Joker in which we have followed, but what the Pale Man does is create a Joker to cause havoc, because he himself is havoc and chaos incarnate. Maybe he is a god of some sort, or just an ancient deity, or there's just something so much more to this Pale Man, if you will, and he creates the Jokers. And he has been creating different ones at different times, maybe because he thought one died, or one was missing, or whatever the case, or he's building an army. Okay, and it just takes such a long time to have such a deranged character, okay, come out and play, basically. So the idea is that the Pale Man, again, through Lazarus Pits and whatnot, though he has been alive all this time, he himself has created a different Joker throughout different time periods. Or maybe like every 10 years or whatever the case may be, every so many years he just creates another Joker, or someone with super sanity again. One of the concepts for Joker, not necessarily the three Joker theory, is that he just suffers from severe sanity, not insanity, that he is just so sane that he sees the world in and all of its insane like jokes, if you will, and it just has affected him so much more because he is so right in the head, not wrong in the head. But this particular theory just kind of takes away some of what makes the Joker so special, what makes the Joker so great. Having more of them takes away from him, so this is something they're already treading on water, and if this has been the norm forever, it just makes it just a little convoluted, but it does make the Pale Man become that much bigger of a role within the Bat family universe, if you will, and just within the DC universe as a whole. So this particular theory does sound kind of cool and does have some merits, and to be honest with you, if we do go down this route, I won't be mad. It's just a matter of what's the end game. How does it all end? And because this is definitely going to affect, I think, the Bat family and the DC universe for years to come. But this is a theory I can get behind. And that brings us to our next theory. Now, the next theory is that it's Joker himself that has been doing this. Now, we have seen many, many times the Joker create versions of himself or his sickness infect others. Okay, we've seen it in recent memory. We've seen it in Gotham Knights, okay, or Arkham Knight. Sorry, Arkham Knight, where though he was dead, his blood tainted other individuals, okay, within the universe, and they themselves believe themselves to be Joker. So it's definitely plausible. We've seen it in the animated verse where Tim Drake, as a little boy, okay, was brainwashed and he ended up killing the Joker, if you will. Brainwashing him. Now, he in that particular scenario wasn't the Joker, but he was a version of the Joker. We've seen it with the Batman the Batman Who Laughs. Okay, we've seen that basically he was able to turn Bruce Wayne, Batman himself, into the Joker. So it's definitely something we've seen. And we've also seen that in the animated verse in Batman Beyond, okay, with him turning himself another Robin, basically. It was always in him for him to come out and play. So this is absolutely something plausible. Okay, and maybe he was doing it to have sidekicks. Batman has had 3 Robins, so why can't, or 4 Robins now, why couldn't Joker have sidekicks as well? Sure, he's had Harley Quinn, but, maybe he wanted, some bros, if you will. So that's another theory, that all this time he's just been creating them himself. Now, this theory, I think, is a little easy. This theory, it works. It can be made out to be good. It's an easy cleanup, if you will. Making the 3 Joker theory something of a new problem Batman's been facing, not a problem Batman has been facing since the get-go. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, the idea of that, just being in that scenario, isn't the worst idea out there. Honestly, I don't want this to be the actual be-all, end-all for it, but if this is the route we go, at least we know where it's not going to get too crazy and ruin things. So that is the one merit to that particular theory, if you will. And that brings me to my last set of thoughts. Now, we're dealing with three particular Jokers. Now, they all could be real Jokers. They all could just be people the Joker has wanted as sidekicks, has wanted as other Jokers. But there's a theory where, thanks to Dr. Manhattan and the Watchmen universe, to some degree being melded with main DC continuity, that one of the Jokers could be the comedian from the Watchmen universe. Now, this theory, there's some really good things about this theory. There's some really bad things about this theory. Now, the first thing, it's really cool that this character is able to kind of come back, have some time to shine, maybe become a hero again and prove himself, or maybe become someone's rogue, whether it be Batman or Rorschach or whoever. Okay, it is kind of cool that this character gets a second chance at being awesome. Now, I understand, because I feel a little the same way, that if he's brought back to life, for whatever the reason, it does kind of tarnish the masterpiece that is known as the Watchmen graphic novel. Now, I can't really weigh too heavily on either side, because there are some merits to both sides. It really would be cool that it turned out that the comedian is back, and I think, how does the Batman deal with someone like the comedian who can be just as crazy and twisted as the Joker, but is proficient in armed combat, in hand-to-hand combat, in strategy, equal probably to the Punisher? There's something about that, you know, and you can't deny it would be absolutely epic to see the comedian and Batman go at it. Okay, there's something in all of us, and if you're just like, no, it can't happen, you're lying to yourself. Now, if they go this route and he is one of the Jokers, one of the other Jokers has to be, and I will totally be on board with the comedian being the Joker, if one of the other Jokers is Alfred Stryker. And I know a lot of you are like, Alfred? Like his butler? No, I'm not. That's obviously not Alfred Stryker. Stryker, you're talking about the guy from the X-Men? No. Alfred Stryker is the first enemy, villain, criminal, whatever you want to call him, the first bad guy we ever see Batman go toe-to-toe with. Now, back in 1939, in Detective Comics number 27, okay, Batman punched Alfred Stryker into a vat of acid. Okay, and basically at the end of it, he's like, that's what a man of his stature or his background gets. You know, so he kind of almost laughed about it himself. You know, Batman kind of laughed at him for falling in, getting punched into acid. So I think I could completely forgive them slightly tarnishing the Watchmen graphic novel if, and only if, they pull this fast one and bring back the very first person all the way back and coming full circle in the mythos of the Batman. That, my friends, would blow my mind. I want this to be the case any which way. I want one of the Jokers to be him so bad. I think it would be so freaking cool. Now, in terms of cons on this, the only con I can see, okay, is the comedian side of the thing. Now, sure, they could still make Alfred Stryker one of the actual Jokers, okay, and not make the comedian one of the others, you know? And ultimately, I think it's going to play out, and my fingers crossed, and if I was doing it, how I would do it is I would make the Joker. Main Joker, main continuity, this is the guy we're dealing with. The main Joker is the one from The Killing Joke. You know, just one bad day turned him crazy. That's what I'm hoping is the main Joker. Then I'm hoping that possibility the second Joker is Alfred Stryker. Okay, I think that would be really cool. And the third one, I really don't know. And to be honest, I really don't care all that much. He could be the Pale Man. He could be the comedian. As long as it's explained to us in a good way and the outcome is a win, which I believe we're going to get, I will be open-minded to whatever they want to give us. Because it's not going to make me dislike or discredit what happened in the Watchmen universe. I mean, it's been so many years since, and Manhattan has the ability to do that, okay? And if he saw it fit to do that, if he saw maybe what, Batman did with allowing the Dark Universe to almost take over, maybe he views Batman as such a problem, but not a big enough problem for him to deal with directly, so maybe he sets the comedian on him. I don't know how this is going to play out, but if Alfred Stryker is one of them, guys, this is going to be one of the coolest Batman stories we've ever gotten, just because of the complete circle that they're creating from the very first time we've seen Batman. So guys, that's going to bring us to the end of this episode of Universal Conspiracies, guys. Down below, if there's any conspiracy theories, fan theories, whether it's comic books, cartoons, movies, anything that has to do, it could be video games that has to do with nerd or pop culture, let us know in the comments below. We'll look into it. We'll dive into it. We'll kind of bring you the ins and outs and the thoughts and everything that goes behind it. So let us know in the comments below, guys. And also, let us know in the comments below who you think the three Jokers are. What do you hope to play out? Which theory do you kind of lean on? Okay? And let us know in the comments below, guys. Please don't forget to like this video if you liked it. Don't forget to dislike it if you disliked it. It's the only way I know that, or we know that you guys like the content that we're producing. Plus, it also is going to help our channel grow. The likes are probably, if you're already subscribed, is the best thing you could do for us, because the more likes we get, the more Google essentially and YouTube are going to pay attention to our videos and allow them to show up more in your feed and other people's feeds. And guys, don't forget to click that notification bell, because again, since we're such a young channel, essentially an infant here on YouTube, it's the only way you're going to know when we drop a new video, guys. So until next time, I'm C-Dubs, and I'll see you in the universe. Peace.
Let me ask you something. What does it matter if you send me back to the asylum if it doesn't matter to me? I've proven my point. Gordon's been driven mad. I've demonstrated there's no difference between me and everyone else. All it takes is one bad